at beavercountyradio.com.
We can expect showers today with patchy fog clearing out around noon. We'll have a high of 53. Showers likely tonight, mainly before 1 a.m., going down to a low of 34. A slight chance of rain and snow tomorrow with otherwise cloudy skies and a high near 37. And mostly sunny for the weekend with a high near 34 on Saturday and a high near 40 on Sunday. Currently here in Beaver County, we're at 48 degrees with cloudy skies. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM, 95.7 FM, 1230 WBVP, and 1460 WMBA, streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Now, it's time to talk on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and beavercountyradio.com. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddy Crow.
Well, Eddie is on vacation this week. Lucky him. My name is Jimi Miller. Used to work here years ago. Well, actually, I worked here from like the 70s through the 90s. And then again, my goodness, off and on up until today. So, and I love this hometown radio. It's wonderful, and I enjoy being here. Matt Durzik is running the board for me and producing. And I am I want to emphasize that word, so excited to have my next guest. Her name is Anna Marie Gabriel, and she's joining us from New York. Anna, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Glad to be here. I'm doing well. Thank you.
I am so excited. You don't know. Maybe you do, but I am really excited, and I think you know why. But anyway, I'm holding your book here. Are we on Facebook? Okay. I don't know if you can see Facebook or not, but I'm holding up. Yeah, we're on Facebook Live right there, and I'm showing a cover of your book right now. ID. Now, do you pronounce it ID or is it Ide?
No, ID, yes, as in it's a play on the word identity. So, as in an ID card, or because it's sort of a lot about our identity and what makes us who we are.
How did you come up with the idea of photographing eyes and naming the book ID?
Yeah, well, it started as an album insert for my father, Peter Gabriel's, one of his cover albums called Scratch My Back and I'll Scratch Yours. And we were trying to come up with an idea of how to shoot the different people he was covering and put them in the albums. And we thought, well, let's use an identification, ID sort of. We started playing with the idea and thought, well, let's do thumbprints and eyes, a close-up of thumbprints and eyes, because that's, those are our identifications, what make us unique. And as I was doing it, I think I shot about 12 people for that album. And as I was doing it, I sort of thought, well, this is a really interesting project. And sort of scrapped the thumb part of it and then just continued with the eyes. And also years later, it's become a book.
and a very good book, may I add. If you don't mind, I'd like to start from the beginning because, we have some time here. So I would like to talk about you and the book and some of the people in the book, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. First of all, when I saw the word portrait, because it says portraits, it says ID Portraits by Anna Gabriel. I always thought a portrait was a picture of maybe a whole person or a painting or something along those lines. So, I'm sorry. Every time I'm going to say so or up or anything like that, I'm going to think of your dad. Your dad's my hero, as you know, but we're talking about you. So what I did was I went in and I went to the dictionary and I looked up portrait. And the definition is a likeness of a person, especially one showing the face, that is created by a painter or photographer. Did you know that going in?
Well, that's interesting. I hadn't it's interesting that that's what a portrait is or considered, because I think, you can get as much out of a person from their eye than their full face. I mean, I think when we were going through COVID the last few years and everyone was wearing masks, you started to understand that, in fact, even if you couldn't see their nose and the mouth and half of their face, you can still kind of see if someone's smiling at you or sad or laughing or whatever it was, the emotion, just by their eyes. And I think the sort of cliche of eyes are the windows to your soul is somewhat true. And there's, you can actually reach a lot of who that person is through just their eyes. So my belief is a portrait is actually a way to look at someone, and just the eye is an alternative way to look at someone.
Well, yeah, that's all very interesting. And turning the page here, I want to show this on Facebook Live, and I know you're probably not watching, but I'm showing a picture of, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Nadia. If you could help me with the last,
Yes.
how do you
Well,
pronounce
don't
that?
ask me because I have just as much problem with it. But she's, one of the singers in Pussy Riot, the Russian group that was in trouble, and they actually, I sort of connected with her because I was working for an organization that I started with a friend of mine, Hunter Heaney, called the Voice Project, and we were sort of, it's about helping artists imprisoned, and Pussy Riot was one of the first people that we helped and helped their organization raise money. So I was connected to her then, but it's actually the photograph of her eye is one of my favorites in the book, in fact.
Is that why you put it up front?
Yes. I think it's one of the most powerful for me, and she's a very powerful, dynamic woman. So I thought, I wanted to highlight it.
Do you know how to pronounce that mask? Well, it's not really a mask. It's like a ski mask, I guess. But this is another thing I have a difficult time pronouncing. I was just wondering.
Balaclava.
Say it again.
Balaclava.
Balaclava. Oh, okay. Well, that's easy enough. Balaclava.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that was actually used in a war that goes back to the Crimean War. And see, again, you got me doing research. The one thing I like about the Gabriel family is when you're writing things and you're wordsmiths and you use these words and these terminologies. And I said, what is that? And then I got to go to Google or somewhere and find out what it is. But it was very interesting because back in the 1800s, soldiers actually used those because it was so cold in Russia, where they were sent to fight, and they wore those. And then as we go on, I noticed that you have a picture of a shark and a picture of a dolphin. How did you come up with that?
Yeah, that was actually my dad's introduction to the book, and he chose those photographs.
Oh.
His point in his introduction was that with those two eyes, if you look at the photographs there, if you look at the shark's eye and you look at the dolphin's eye, one of them looks more aggressive than the other. And does it tell you a certain nature of the animal? I mean, obviously sharks aren't aggressive, until provoked, or some are. There's different arguments to that, but his point with the introduction was that, you can see a personality within the eye.
And he's so right. Yes. Yeah, like the song "In Your Eyes,"
Yeah.
But I look at the shark eye and it terrifies me. It just looking at it, it's scary. And then the dolphin eye, it just looks like so pleasant and fun, and just like he wants to be your friend. I'm going to see if folks can see that on Facebook. Should be a shark and a dolphin there. Yes. Okay. Good. All right. So I wanted to show people, and this book is amazing. I really am so glad that I got this book, and I guess folks can order this from Amazon.
Yes, you can order it from Amazon, or almost most book retailers have it.
Okay, well that's good. So if people go into Barnes and Noble or whatever the case may be, they can pick it up there. Very cool.
Find it.
And the foreword by your dad, I could tell he's very, very proud of you. No doubt.
Yes.
Very, very nice introduction by your dad, and nice picture of his eye as well. So as we move forward, I was wondering, like, just like all these eyes, and I was looking at them last night, and you're right. Whenever you look at the eyes, you can almost tell what people are thinking, what kind of emotions they have. And I remember you saying that whenever your dad came home, you could tell what kind of mood he was in by his eyes.
Yes, he has very expressive eyes to me. I think probably to most people, but there's a certain sense of a sort of, I think, puppy dog look to his eyes. They kind of droop at the sides, and it sort of is a bit of a sad look. And I mean, I think I have very similar eyes to him, and the people tell us, so I probably have the same thing. But he has, I feel like they are quite expressive, and when especially as a child, I think when your parent, is feeling angry or sad or something, you can really see it, and you can see it clearer, and especially through their eyes. I think, that contact that a child has with their parent when they're first born, the eye contact you make with your baby when they're first in your arms is, releases oxytocin, and then there's a lot of, which is the, feel-good hormone, and a lot of connections are made through that look. Through that connection through the eyes. So I think it's quite a powerful thing.
And I agree with you. Hey, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we'll talk more about some of the portraits in your book, okay?
Great.
All right, we're talking to Anna Gabriel, and she has a book out called Eyed, and that's what we're talking about. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Ice and snow on the roads can sometimes mean hazardous driving conditions. GNU's Body Works in Freedom reminds you to use extra caution during the winter season, and if you have the misfortune of a run-in with a guardrail or get stopped by something other than your brakes, make your car good as GNU. Bring it to GNU's Body Works in Freedom. Remember, if the weather is calling for snow and ice, you might be calling GNU's Body Works, a full-service auto collision and custom restoration facility. 400 8th Street, Freedom.
The best of Beaver County is easy to discover. It's right here on your radio. Tune in Beaver County Radio or watch the best of Beaver County live on Facebook or YouTube video this and every Thursday from 11 to 11:30. The program is made possible by St. Barnabas. For over 3 years now, the show has been dedicated to shining light on the great things going on right here in your neighborhood and the people that are making it happen. This Thursday, enjoy conversation and insight from an intriguing lineup of guests who are creating excitement and having an impact right here in Beaver County. Your friends and neighbors at St. Barnabas are pleased to support the best of Beaver County. The radio broadcast will also be replayed each week from 11:30 to noon on Sundays on Beaver County Radio. Archived Best of Beaver County videos can be viewed on the WBVP WMBA Facebook page. It's your chance to encounter the best of Beaver County with host Mike Romai this Thursday starting at 11. For more information, visit beavercountyradio.com.
From the opening tip-off to the final buzzer, you can follow high school basketball all season long right here on Beaver County Radio. Follow your favorite team by keeping your radio dial right here throughout the season. High school basketball coverage is being brought to you in part by Beaver County Career Technology Center, the St. Barnabas Healthcare System, William Murphy Funeral Home, Fry Transportation, Community College of Beaver County, Fisher's Foodland, Friendly Federal Credit Union, Luxembourg Garbutt Kelly and George, Falcone's Moon Township Board, the Gay Bauer Lutton Funeral Home and Crematory, and Beaver County Radio. 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com.
Diamonds might be a girl's best friend, but the station that's been your ear's best friend since 1948 is celebrating its diamond anniversary year. Thanks for listening to Beaver County Radio.
I'm Jimi Miller, in for the one and only Eddy Crow today, and Teleforum is the name of the program. He's on vacation. Eddie's enjoying himself, and my special guest, I'm so excited talking to her. Anna Marie Gabriel is my guest, and we're talking about her book, Eyed. And Anna, I'm looking through the book, and I'm looking at a picture of William Dafoe right now, and he kind of has his arm up, holding his head. What's the deal with that?
Well, he's kind of. I actually posed him in that position as I thought it would be interesting for him to sort of be peeking through a kind of the arm framing the photograph. So it's a bit more, bit more interesting. Plus, I find him quite mysterious and interesting as a person. So I thought just having that sort of obstacle in the way of the camera added another dimension to the portrait.
And I think that's pronounced Willem Dafoe. Is that correct? Yeah,
Yeah.
Will. Yeah. And I think I called him William before, so sorry about that. And then we have Noel Gallagher after that. And if I'm not mistaken, if you could tell us a little story about Noel, you were saying something about he held his eyes open without blinking for a long period of time.
Yes, he did. It was funny. I actually kind of noticed it as I was a lot of when I've been taking a lot of the shots in the book. Everyone. The hard part is that for most people is to keep their eyes open, and so often, I'd say, "Well, close your eyes for a second," and then I'd go 1, 2, 3, open them, and then I'd take the photograph. Because obviously it's quite hard for most people to keep your eyes open for so long, and especially if you've got a camera right in front of your face, it's quite intimidating. And most people blink with nerves and with so people would blink a lot. Anyway, as I was taking his photograph, I sort of noticed that he hadn't blinked yet, and it was sort of a few minutes into it, and I thought, well, this is the first person I've not had to say, close your eyes and count, and we'll open them again. So I joked with him about that. I said something like, you're the first person who hasn't blinked in a long time, and he joked that it must have been to do with the drugs he took back in the day. So, but he was very funny guy. I enjoyed that shoot a lot.
Now, the way your book is set up, let me ask you something. All right, you've got a picture of you taking a picture of Noel, and then on the following page, you have his entire face and maybe like a bust type of picture of him from the shoulders up. And then on the following page, there's a picture of an eye with sunglasses. Are those all Noel?
Yes, they are. Throughout the book, it's done in sort of 3 stages. The kind of description of my experience with the person, then the photograph of him, or what looks like from the waist up, is actually his passport photograph. I asked everyone to give me their passport photograph as it was another form of identification that we all have. So I wanted that to be, and then you could kind of see from that photograph whose eye was who. And so there was their passport photograph, and then the close-up macro shot of their eye.
Well, his pupils don't seem dilated or anything in there, so I don't think he's on drugs at that point in time. Anyway, seems like he's pretty straight edge. So Brian Eno, you've got a picture of Brian Eno. I wanted to ask you before we talk about Brian Eno, did you have a difficult time setting up arranging these pictures? Did you have to go through managers or agents, or were you able to just pick up the phone and say, "Hi, this is Anna Gabriel, and I want to take your picture of your eye"?
Unfortunately, it wasn't that easy, and that's partly why it took over 10 years to do this project.
Oh my goodness!
It took a long time, and it was very much like bugging managers and connections to these people. My dad very kindly helped me out on a lot of them, and now I think he owes a lot of favors. But
yes.
but he was very kind in that respect, and did a lot of emailing for me. But a lot of the people I got without his help too, and they were through managers and through connections, through mutual friends and various people. But it was really, scheduling was quite difficult because a lot of everyone's very busy doing albums or touring or films or whatever it was. So it did take time to actually schedule the photograph, even though actually taking the photograph took about 20 minutes. So, and it was very simple. I wanted to make it as simple as possible for the artist. So take the photograph was basically going in to the hotel room or the backstage area or wherever they were at the time, and using natural daylight, so I didn't have to set up lights or anything, and just shooting their eye, so they didn't have to worry about makeup and hair and styling and all the rest of it. So in fact, for most of the artists, they were like, "Oh, that's it, this is a great shoot," because it was so simple. But yeah, it did take time to schedule.
You mentioned natural light. We got to take a break. After the break, I want to ask you about natural light. And I also want to find out if any of these artists said, "Hey, Anna, since you're here, take some pictures of the show." So we'll be right back on 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA with Anna Gabriel.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Curtis Walsh.
Good morning. Today's forecast is calling for rain, showers, and some patchy fog. We'll have a high of 53. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after this look at news. Central Valley cheerleaders won their district's first championship. Here's Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano with more.
Choose your path at Community College of Beaver County and start learning for real life at a realistic cost. CCBC's 2-year degree programs get you trained and earning a salary in less time and with less debt. Programs in aviation, nursing, education, process technology, criminal justice, and more will prepare you for a real future. You belong here. Apply now or learn more at ccbc.edu.
Heather Somofosky is the Central Valley head coach for the cheerleaders, and it was announced at Wednesday night's school board work session. The overall competitive spirit championship award event was held for WPIAL 2A at Hemphill High School on Saturday, January 7th, 2023. The squad qualified to compete in Hershey on Friday, January 27th and Saturday, January 28th for the PIAA title in District 7. School board members at Wednesday night's work session congratulated the cheerleaders for winning the first championship in school history. This is Sandy Giordano reporting for Beaver County Radio.
The Cornerstone of Beaver County, a nonprofit organization dedicating to preventing and ending homelessness in Beaver County, joins Beaver County Continuum of Care and local social service partners in coordinating the 2023 point-in-time homelessness survey in Beaver County. Local survey efforts are part of an annual national survey that counts individuals experiencing homelessness on any given night. This year, TCBC and other partners will work with the Beaver County COC to survey individuals experiencing homelessness on the night of January 23rd into the morning of January 24th. The survey will capture a count of homeless individuals during the designated time, as well as demographics and other data valuable to improving local and national programming to prevent and end homelessness. A dispute over the priorities of dealing with workers in essential services took place at the county courthouse. Matt Durzik explains the details from Wednesday's work session.
At the Commissioner's work session on Wednesday, District Attorney David Lozier came forth with a request for the Commissioners to consider handling the finances of the heart and lung gap for certified officers in training in Beaver County.
What I'm looking for is authority to work with the solicitors to draft a new generation of agreements for the Anti-Drug Task Force and the ESU to add a paragraph that would state that the county would cover that one-third heart and lung gap for an officer injured on an operation during training.
But Commissioner Jack Manning spoke in reluctance about Lozier's suggestion.
We have a lot of health and safety things happening in Beaver County that I think have higher priority for our attention than the ESU and the heart and lung thing. I'll just leave it at that without getting into details, but I'm going to talk about later about emergency response for ambulances and things that we've been talking about for a while.
Audio from the work session was courtesy of the Beaver County Commissioners. From the County Courthouse, I'm Matt Durzik for Beaver County Radio News.
Sandy Giordano reports Beaver County District Attorney David Lozier recused himself from the Kenneth Vineyard case because the officer involved in the investigation is a part-time employee who works for the SWAT team. Autopsy reports from the county coroner and an independent agency haven't released Vineyard's cause of death, and the Attorney General's press office reported last Friday that they have received and accepted a referral on the case, and there is no further updates at this time.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
We can expect showers today and some patchy fog that should clear out around noon. We'll have a high of 53. Showers tonight mainly before 1 a.m. going down to a low of 34. A slight chance of rain and snow showers tomorrow with otherwise cloudy skies and a high near 37. And mostly sunny for the weekend with a high of 34 on Saturday and a high of 40 on Sunday. Currently here in Beaver County, we have cloudy skies and 48 degrees. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and 95.7 FM, 1460 WMBA, streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Talk about what's happening in Beaver County or around the world on Teleforum. 724-843-1888. 724-774-1888. It's Teleforum with Eddy Crow.
And Jimi Miller filling in for Eddy Crow today. And I did talk to Anna, and she said if anybody would like to call in and ask her a question, she would be okay with that. Those numbers, once again, 724-774-1888 or 724-843-1888. And Anna, we were talking about Brian Eno a little bit, and we were talking about lighting. And you said that you like things in natural light. Why natural light?
Well, I actually used natural light. Really, the main reason was to make it, as I said, easiest for the artist, so I didn't have to lug around lights and have the time setting them up. So I could really just go in, shoot them, and leave, and take as little time as possible. And that was the main reason. But as I was doing it, and the natural light really does kind of make things look a little more natural too. And I did it in black and white for a reason, which was that when you often think about eyes, the first thing you think is like, what color are they? What color eyes do you have? And so I wanted to take that away from it, sort of strip it down to really being able to look within the person's eyes and try and get more about who they are from the photograph. And I think using natural light was did the same thing as that.
That's interesting. And I guess being a professional photographer, you would know about lighting, and I think you're right about lugging around light gear. That wouldn't be any fun. But what about when you were going to arenas? Like in some of these pictures, I noticed that you had to go to a show. And you might be going to, I don't know, Robert Plant comes to mind for some reason. And there might have been somewhere where you were in the arena where you didn't have natural light. What did you do?
Yeah, well, actually, that did happen for Robert Plant and for Johnny Depp. In fact, they were backstage at shows, and I had to find the sort of closest area with the most amount of light source, being usually an LED sort of maybe that Johnny Depp was in his dressing room bathroom in the end. The bathroom light was very bright. And the Robert Plant was backstage on a stairwell with a bright light. So, it wasn't the best case scenario for what I wanted to shoot it, but enough light to get what I needed.
Hey, let's go into the men's room and try it. Yes. That's kind of funny, but yeah, I guess the lighting would be pretty good there, huh?
Of where? The bathroom?
Yes.
Yes, no, exactly. They're always usually bright and ugly.
But at least you got the shot that you wanted. That's what counts.
Yes.
And then next up is Rosanna Arquette. And I know she starred in Desperately Seeking Susan with Madonna. And I know that I think she was a friend of your dad's. And did you spend a lot of time with Rosanna?
Yes, we did as kids. My dad and her were in a relationship for 8 years, so we spent a lot of time with her, and I was very close to her. At that time, was sort of 13, 14, and of course, at that time for me, Madonna was my idol. So was very sort of excited to meet Rosanna the first time, knowing that she was in a film with Madonna and had that connection. I didn't know Rosanna as an actress per se, as her own work is not so child friendly, but she was, she was a great person, and I'm still friends today. But she was very important in my childhood.
I'm surprised you don't have a shot of Madonna.
I know. I would have liked that. But didn't manage that one.
Can't get everybody, right?
No.
And then Paul Simon. Interesting picture here with Paul Simon. Looks like a thumb and a finger. What's up with that?
Exactly. Well, that was one of the original. As I said, I did this the project started as an album insert, and my dad sort of he wanted to do a thumbprint along with the eye originally, and so a lot of the original photographs had the thumb very either in front of the eye or up very close to the eye, and so he was one of those people I shot for that album. So the eye is a bit obscured in the photograph, and it's very much his thumb, which I was sort of like, oh, maybe I should retake it for the book. But then again, I thought, well, actually, he's quite a reserved, shy person, and inside hiding it was almost saying something in itself, and that you were sort of hiding in front of your thumb or your finger, or hiding behind something.
And it sort of looks that way. Yeah, I could see that. Very, very cool picture.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, he really loved it, which was nice. He sort of wanted to use it as an album cover, apparently, but I kept it for the book.
and then I think from what I read, if I remember correctly, he was working on Biko, which part of like Scratch My Back and I'll Scratch Yours. Your dad came up with the idea of asking artists to do some of his songs the way that they do it. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then he took one of their songs and he redid it his way.
Right.
Exactly. And I guess it was a coincidence that he was working on Biko, of all things, whenever you arrived. And then he took you to the airport, and I guess he was working on new material. And he said, "Hey, Anna, what do you think of this? Were the tunes any good?"
It was exciting for me. He was lovely, and I spent a little bit of time up at their place in Connecticut, and in his studio there, and he did drive me back to the train station and said, do you want to check out some new work we're working on? And so he put it on in the car. I mean, the ride was only about 15 minutes, so I only got to listen to it a little bit, but it was very exciting for me. I've always been a fan of Paul Simon, so ever since I was a kid, so that was very cool. And it was also strange. It reminded me of my dad, because he often, when we were kids, would listen to his music that he's been working on in the car. He always says it's one of the best places to listen to music. So we would drive around if he'd listen to the album he was working on, whatever he was working on. So it kind of took me back there, and it was nice.
Why do you think it's more interesting or more of a good idea to listen to it in a car on car speakers?
Well, I think that you're sort of, I think that if it's very real, like it's not, sounding perfect through expensive speakers or a home system, or it's often, well, at least back in the day, now cars have good systems in them, but back when I was a kid, it would have been a kind of a rougher place to listen to music, and if it sounds good there, it sounds good probably anywhere. And also the fact that you're kind of driving, I always think listening to music in the car there's a sense of freedom, being on the road, being on a road trip, or you're in a different vibe when you're driving. There's something quite relaxing about it to me.
Different element. And as you said,
sorry?
if it sounds good on car speakers, it's going to sound good anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like New York City. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm looking at these pictures of Annie Lennox, and I got to ask you, the one, I think it's page 55, the one on my left, looking at it, it almost doesn't even look like the same person. Is it, was one of the shots photoshopped, or is that just the way that they came out when you took the pictures?
Yeah. it's not her on both sides. The other side is Samantha Mathis, and it's a tricky. It's actually confused a few people the way I laid it out in the book, because a couple of the pages there's this sort of 3 or 4 spreads in the book where I wanted to put 2 different people's eyes together, which I thought looked quite interesting and fun. It was fun to play with. And in that way, it sort of changes the order where it starts with the eye and then it goes to the passport and then the description. So you'll see there that it's actually Annie Lennox on one side, but on the other side of the spread, it's Samantha Mathis. And then when you turn the page, it's Samantha's passport photo and description.
Okay.
So it's only actually one side is Annie.
I thought maybe it was part of the aging process where you took it 10 years ago and then took it more recently. Okay, so yeah, Samantha Mathis then is the next picture, and
Yes.
I'll tell you what, these pictures you have, Annie Lennox. I'll tell you, I love her, and I just love her music, and I love her style, and I like her vibe a lot. She seems like she's very cool. Did you hang out with her for a while?
I didn't get that long to hang out with her. She was in New York for a short visit, and I went to her hotel room actually on Bowery, and just popped into the room for about 20 minutes to take a shot. But we chatted for a minute, and she was lovely, like a real sort of warm Scottish vibe, and she was very sweet, and I had a very nice 20 minutes with her. But it was quick. Yeah, we shot the photograph pretty fast. It was in this her hotel room was on a corner and had beautiful daylight, so it was actually a really nice place. But it was just a studio with like a tiny room with the bed. So she sat on her bed and I sat on there too and grabbed the camera and put it in her face. So it was very intimate and nice. It was nice.
Yeah, intimate was the word that came to my mind too, right as you said that. We got to take a short break here, Anna, and when we come back, I want to ask you a little bit about Kevin Bacon, if that would be okay.
Yes.
And you're listening to Teleforum, Jimi Miller in for Eddy Crow here on Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA.
Tune in to Live Mike with Mike Romai, presented by Heritage Valley Health System, weekdays from 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. It's an all-new show on Beaver County Radio, where Mike discusses the issues important to Beaver County. There's also special guests, weather, sports with Matt Durzick, and news every half hour with Curtis Walsh. So tune in to Live Mike with Mike Romai, weekdays, right here on Beaver County Radio.
Children are the future, and your future career begins at Life Steps Early Education Center, hiring child care assistants and preschool teachers for full-time, part-time, or substitute positions. Life Steps offers 100% paid health, dental, and vision premiums for full-time staff, making a difference in the lives of children for nearly 100 years. Call Life Steps today at 724-283-1010 or visit lifesteps.net. That's lifesteps.net to find out more. Life Steps is an equal opportunity employer.
Did you know that facial expression, body language, and voice inflection account for almost 70% of how the spoken word is interpreted? How you appear, how clearly you can speak, and how confident you are when you smile, eat, and talk can impact almost every aspect of your life. Regular dental care from St. Barnabas Dental in Beaver affects much more than just your teeth. Even sleeping patterns can be improved with oral care from St. Barnabas Dental. Dr. Henry Windle and Dr. Jason Stracula offer life-changing solutions by restoring dental health, function, and appearance. Proper expression and greater overall life enjoyment start with the team at St. Barnabas Dental. Call St. Barnabas Dental, located on Tuscaroras Road in Brighton Township, at 724-495-3350. It's dental care that's apart from the ordinary. Click stbarnabashealthsystem.com.
Now entering our 75th year of serving Beaver County. You're listening to 99.3 FM, 95.7 FM, 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA, part of the St. Barnabas Radio Network.
And you're listening to Teleforum. Jimi Miller in for Eddy Crow today. Eddie's on a well-deserved vacation and hope he's having a really good time. And my special guest today is none other than Anna Marie Gabriel. one of my favorite people. And she has a book out. It's called Eyed. It's a picture of people's eyes. You can get it at your local bookstore, or you can also get it on Amazon.com. And when we left off with Kevin Bacon. And Anna, it seemed like you seemed like you almost didn't get his picture.
Yes, I went to his apartment in the city, and I get to the front door, and the doorman, I said, "Oh, I'm here, for Kevin Bacon's apartment," and he said, "Oh, he just left." I thought, "Oh no, here we go." These obviously, as I said, take a while to schedule, and I thought, "Oh, it's going to be another while before rescheduling." And I called his assistant, and he immediately came back from. I guess he'd gone to brunch with some friends and forgotten, or hadn't the communication of the time hadn't been relayed to him. So, but he left brunch right away and came right back, and we did the shoot, and then he went back to meet his friends. So he was lovely about it, very apologetic, and very sweet guy. And we got a beautiful shot of him sitting in his apartment, looking very unpanicked, sort of rushing back and forth, looking very relaxed and looking out the window. It was, I think, a beautiful shot.
It's a great shot. As a matter of fact, you talked about the eyes being the windows to the soul. And in his eyes, a reflection of a window that's about half open. And that's really cool. Was it difficult to get that shot?
No, I mean, as I said, he was looking out the window, so the natural reflection of the daylight was off the window in his eye. And in fact, that is the case with a few people in the book. Because I was using natural daylight, they were often standing next to a window. And quite a few of them, you can see, first of all, the reflection of the window, and second of all, usually me in there too. But it's in this one, I really liked it because it really created the vibe of that moment that we had. So yeah, it did fit very well with this photograph.
I love it. And I like the verbiage on the other side of the page where it says, "It's like he's in a serene and blissful world. The moment was all the more remarkable since right up until the actual photo, it was all rush, rush, rush."
Yes, exactly. Well, that's him rushing back to try and take the photograph quickly. So yes, it was.
And then next up we have Johnny Depp. Kind of an interesting picture there with some glasses, and it looks like one of the lenses is missing.
Yeah, these were actually glasses I found in a thrift shop in the East Village in the city, and I just really liked them. They came with one glass in them, and they were just sort of weird, so strange and unusual looking. And when I was going to shoot him, I thought, oh, yeah, I'll just bring these along just because they kind of make me feel like it's a Johnny Depp vibe. Not that I knew him, but maybe his characters he's played, or what I had in my mind of him. So I brought them along, and we took some straight shots, and then I showed him the glasses. They said, "Do you want to try some with these?" And when he put them on, he said, "Oh, this is funny because the eye that doesn't have the glass in it is an eye that I actually have trouble. He has some trouble with his sight in." And so it's quite ironic that you have these. And I thought, well, that it all made a lot of sense, and it fit very well, and especially with that conversation and knowing that. So yeah, they worked out well.
So I guess in a way it turned out to be a happy accident for you because you really didn't go there to get this shot.
No, exactly. And I think with most of the shots in the book, I always sort of had an idea of what I wanted to get and the framing and how I wanted to portray them. But my belief is that you kind of make the plan, and then when you walk through the door, you sort of throw the plan out the window and go with what happens. And that gives you the freedom to have happy accidents and get those moments, which that was. So it worked out.
I'm going to jump toward the end of this book because, I thought an hour with you was going to be enough time. It's not. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many questions I want to ask you about the people in this book and the way that you got them and how many frequent flyer miles you got and things of that nature. But before I don't want to miss this guy here at the end. It's a guy named Adam Masterson. and I think he plays guitar and maybe does a little bit of singing. And I think he has some tunes out that are like really cool, like Avenue Walk, Bring Back the Freaks, cool tune, Bad Luck Baby, and I really liked Rusty Cars and Dusty Alleys.
Yes, well, yes, this is my husband, so my favorite in the book, obviously. But he's an incredible musician, and actually has a single out today called "Take a Little Love." If you want to check that out, I've done a lot of video and photography work with him as well, so you'll see some of my stuff there too. But yeah, he's incredible, and there's you can check him out on Spotify, on any of the platforms. And he's got an album coming out next month called Time Bomb, which is very exciting. It's a great album, and not to be too biased, but definitely go check him out.
Definitely. Now I saw that he was in London. I follow Adam on Facebook, and I saw that he was in London doing some shows. He did some shows. He does shows in New York. Does he ever travel to places like maybe Pittsburgh, for instance?
Yeah, no. Well, he's setting up a tour for the new album, and hopefully he will get to places like Pittsburgh and some more places on the East Coast, maybe the West Coast too. Hopefully soon. So, sort of maybe stay tuned. If you go to his website, adammosman.com, it should be updated with touring stuff when that comes in.
Yeah, that would be nice. And our time is up already. I can't believe it. I have so much more I want to talk to you about.
I know. Well,
but I want to thank you so much. I know you're very busy. I know you've been running back and forth, to London, and I know that you've been doing a book tour and things of that nature. So once again, people can get eyed in their local bookstores, Barnes and Noble, things of that nature. And if they don't have it for whatever reason, they could probably order it, or you could get it at Amazon.com. Correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to add before we go?
No, but thank you for having me today.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I just have so much fun, conversing with you and chatting back and forth once in a while. And I know you've got a busy schedule with your family and things, but thank you so much. It was an honor talking to you. And if it's not too much trouble next time you talk to your dad, tell him I said hi.
I will. Thank you, Jimmy.
He's my hero. All right, Anna, take care. Have a good day.
Thank you, too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You're listening to Teleforum. Jimi Miller in for Eddy Crow today. That was so much fun for me. I don't know if it was for the audience or not, but it was. I'm a Peter Gabriel fanatic. He's got a new album coming out called I.O., and Anna said, I don't want to discuss anything about the new album. I'm not allowed, so please don't mention that. So I didn't. And he's just a great artist. If you get a chance, check out Peter Gabriel. And by all means, pick up this book, Eyed. It's really a cool book. Put it on your coffee table, and people will be talking about it. I promise you. So I want to let you know that tomorrow, I believe Frank Sparks is going to be here playing 8 tracks out of his 68 VW bus. I guess we'll be driving around doing that. I don't know how that works, but it's going to be cool, I'm sure. And coming up at 11:30, my good friend Scott Tatey will be here, and we'll be doing notes on entertainment. And Dina's also here, so maybe we can get her to join in, and that should be fun too. So I'm really having a good time here. Again, my name is Jimi Miller. Mike Romai, my good friend Mike Romai, is going to be coming up after the news, and he's going to be talking to Josh, who was here this morning. I'll tell you, this guy, man, he must have so much stamina. Just to be able to go to Harrisburg, have a baby, do his session, get sworn in, do everything that he had to do there, and then come back here, and then be called for a special session and go to Harrisburg again, and then come back here, and then he was on Rapping with the Reps and did an amazing job with me this morning. And he's going to be on again with Mike Romai coming up at 11:10, and they'll be on until 11:30, so make sure that you are here for that. As far as the weather goes, hey, we're going to have rain off and on today, high around 53, so it'll be a pretty nice day, but you might need the umbrella as you make your way outside, grab your keys, and start up the old hot rod and just ride around or whatever you're going to be doing. And I will be here with Scott, too, in case I didn't mention that. I think I did, but in case I didn't. we will be here with Notes on Entertainment coming up at 11:30. How we doing, Matt? Still got some time? Time to break. All right, we're going to take a break here on 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, Beaver County Radio.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Kelly Clarkson, and as the daughter of